including tightening a loose common external tariff and trade policy, integrating more fully labor and capital markets, and deepening functional cooperation. Resources improve efficiency in the delivery of public services. Second, it must devise and implement strategies for inserting the CARICOM economies into a dynamic and competitive global economy in the wake of experiencing preferential trade arrangements with its two largest trade partners, the United States and the European Union. Mr. Angolia stated crystal clear that these objectives are predicted by economies to be fully in place by 2015. Mr. Speaker, please allow me to present to you a very simple example. Guyana's greatest market for sugar was once the European Union. In 2009, the European states realized how economical it would be to produce their own beet sugar instead of importing our cane sugar. Since then, Guyana began to lose $35 million yearly when once efficient sugar estates were forced to shut down one by one. Mr. Speaker, members of the opposition, where were CARICOM strategies for trade arrangements for the global economy when Guyana was facing this traffic deficit? It seems as though this extra-regional trade policy was still in a relaxing vacation since Guyana has no proper external market for its sugar today. What an absolute shame! It took CARICOM prediction of 9 years for these objectives to be in full swing. 6 years later, we are still awaiting this execution. Upon concluding, we must set back into reality and acknowledge that these goals are way too ambitious, for even if we are in similar in countless ways, our national interests continue to prove different. Hence, I once again wish to substantially restate how resolute I remain in agreement with the mood. The objectives of CARICOM continues to be elusive. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rajkumar Kemraj. The second speaker for the Ornock Sport Club is Mr. Kieron Williams. Kieron, you are now up.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Eloquent judges, members of the proposition, colleagues of the opposition, audience all, a special day to you. As the second speaker of the opposition, it is my duty to further oppose the mood which states, and I quote, "The objectives of CARICOM continue to be elusive," end of quote. CARICOM is one of the oldest surviving integration schemes in the developing world, 48 years on July 5th and counting. This is according to CARICOM's website. This shows that there is success, which is why it is still active. If the objectives continue to be elusive, why then did it not fail like the West Indies Federation? According to the CARICOM.org, and I quote, "Great strides have been made, particularly through functional cooperation in education, in health, in culture, in security. Its single market functions and it is a respected voice in international affairs because of coordinated foreign policy." Unquote. CARICOM has in many ways without difficulty accomplished their set objectives through the establishment of institutions that are responsible for different sectors in the region. Take, for instance, the Caribbean Examinations Council is responsible for educational qualifications necessary for post-secondary life, and the University of the West Indies for tertiary education. This clearly shows that the educational aspects of CARICOM are being achieved. The Caribbean Public Health Agency is banking on high-quality research to inform policy, programming, and clinical practice amid unceasing public health challenges. COVID has struck us unexpectedly. However, CARPA has stepped in and helped the region to navigate through this pandemic safely. According to an article published by the Press News Agency dated June 25, 2021, CARPA has hosted a conference to address pressing health issues in the Caribbean region. Again, another objective, the health aspect, is being addressed. The Caribbean is made up of small islands that are vulnerable to natural disasters. Thus, CARICOM has institutions that play a critical role in disaster preparation, management, and control. The Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management System was established to aid in crises arising out of geographical constraints. According to the Honorable Keith Rowley, Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, who said at the press conference on April 8, 2021, and I quote, "CDME has activated its regional support operation, including the deployment of a specialist to assist St. Vincent and the Grenadines with the volcanic activity," unquote. This is one of the thousands of ways in which CARICOM helped its members. Large members of the proposition, can you not see that this explicitly shows cooperation among member states? Is it not clear that they are indeed achieving their objectives easily? I will now decrease and allow my third speaker to increase. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kieran. And now the third speaker for the proposition, Mr. Amar Lochan Budram, Anna Regina Youth Group. Amar, you're on.
Salutation, esteemed judges, Mr. Speaker, members of the opposition, audience all. I rise as the third speaker of the proposition to further convince you that, and I quote, the objectives of CARICOM continues to be elusive. Mr. Speaker, honorable judges, permit me to elaborate on a problem that small economies in CARICOM are facing. Economic integration is an arrangement between nations, including the reduction or elimination of trade barriers and the coordination of monetary and fiscal policies. Members of the opposition, CARICOM will need to develop and implement measures to increase the competitiveness of countries in the region and less developed countries in particular. Assistance should be granted in several areas. These include project development, policy development, negotiation, product design, and training. A report presented to the World Bank Conference dated 24th of July 2018 by Mr. Richard L. Bornell, Ambassador of Guyana to the U.S., permanent representative, and I quote, these constraints prevent attainment of economies of scale for a wide range of products, and this leads to high costs of production. And small markets cause also high costs because there are often a lack of competition. End of quote. Mr. Speaker, honorable judges, friends of the opposition, shouldn't CARICOM put more emphasis on developing small countries? The distinguished comrades of the opposition, Article 32.4 of the CARICOM Investment Code, a key element to CSME which sends the signal to overseas investors that the Caribbean is a viable destination for foreign direct investment. As discussed above, the capital constraints in the sector makes it critical for the region to attract foreign direct investment. Therefore, CSME should facilitate this. A CARICOM investor is defined as, and I quote, a person shall be regarded as a national member of state. Hence, the person should be a part of that state. Many current and long-established investors in CARICOM will meet the nationality test. While the interests of the treaty may have been in favor of indigenous to CARICOM members, this approach is not practical today, especially in light of the urgent need for new investment in the traditional sector. If we agree that the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States and CARICOM urgently need new investment, then I quote, the resources seeking the investment in Guyana, Suriname, and Brazil, then I quote, then it is clear that CSME should not discriminate against third country investors. An article published in 2018 by Mr. Ramesh Chetu, a service specialist from the University of the West Indies. Erudite judges, fellow members of the opposition, shouldn't CARICOM amend their Article 32.4 of the CARICOM Investment Code? Mr. Speaker, honorable judges, members of the opposition, my team and I are very convinced that the objectives of CARICOM are elusive. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Amar. And the final speaker in this first round is Ms. Shania Mitchell from the Ornock Sport Club. Shania, it is your turn.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Erudite judges, members of the proposition, audience all. A blissful morning. Today I, the third speaker, take a bold stand in opposition of the move, and I quote, the objectives of CARICOM continue to be elusive, unquote. CARICOM has created the Caribbean Telecommunication Union that is dedicated to facilitate the development of telecommunication networks and coordinating information and communication technologies to meet the immediate and future needs of our region. With that being said, an article in the CARICOM at Work dated 14th May 2017 stated, and I quote, in this modern world, where the advancement of technology allow us to further accomplish our objectives, unquote. Noble judges, large members of the proposition, these establishment and work of such an entity clearly demonstrates CARICOM commitment to its objectives, as this body ensures that the vision of integration is progressive and in alignment with modern trends and advancement. With that being said, Honorable Minister Rutley, former CARICOM chairman, on July 3rd, 2020, said, and I quote, the ICU are being fully utilized for enhancing the productivity of all sectors of the economy with the Caribbean community, unquote. Over the past years, CARICOM continued to show the great progress and cooperation among its members. A survey conducted by the CARICOM Department of Statistics on CARICOM accomplishments stated, and I quote, over the years, CARICOM has improved by 54% and 60% in communication and integration, respectively, unquote. In the said survey, it was also stated that, and I quote, Caribbean community has made a significant improvement by 71% in its performance towards its members say, unquote. Prestige judges, members of the proposition, isn't that what the objectives of CARICOM are built upon? Therefore, the members standing together all these years prove that CARICOM objectives are not, and I repeat, are not elusive. Yet, the members of the proposition have the audacity to use the word continue. In conclusion, I strongly believe that the objectives of CARICOM are not, and I repeat, are not elusive. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Shania. And there you have it. 6 exciting presentations, as one person looking at the debates online said. These debaters are on fire. Folks, we now take a short break so that our debaters can pull their thoughts together for their rebuttals. We will have Ms. Carletta Charles talk a bit more about the competition.
Welcome to the inaugural
Ms. Charles?
Speakers National Youth Debating Competition. Honorable Mansfield, Speakers of the National Assembly, recognize promote a broader awareness of institutions of democracy, particularly the Parliament, among our young people. Out of this recognition, birthed the National Youth Debating Competition. This competition serves as a feeder into the 6th Annual Youth Parliament 2021. Rather than having participants in Youth Parliament being students of the University of Guyana only, this competition will allow for broader participation among young people in civil society. The competition involves 48 participants from 16 youth groups across the education districts of Guyana. These groups were nominated by the Ministry of Culture, Youth and Sport. The competition, moderated by the Honorable Speaker, will see 15 sessions of debates. 4 sessions will be held each week, on Tuesdays and Fridays from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. The debates will be adjudicated by a total of 9 capable and erudite judges who were organized in pools of 3 and who will be rotated over the duration of the competition. Each competition must have rules. The rules of this National Youth Debating Competition are: participants must be present 10 minutes before the commencement of the debate. 15 minutes lateness would result in disqualification and an automatic win for the other team. Each team must consist of only 3 members, all from the same youth group. Failure to comply will result in the disqualification of the team. Once a team has started the competition, no member should be replaced. The first speaker will be the first speaker of the proposing team, followed by the first speaker of the opposing team, and it will alternate in this order. The times allotted to each speaker are as follows. First speaker, 4 minutes. Second and third speakers, 3 minutes. And the rebuttal will be 5 minutes. The rebuttal must be done by only the first speaker on each team. No new arguments or materials should be introduced into the rebuttal. 10 points will be deducted for introduction of new arguments. A bell will be rung first to indicate that the speaker should commence. The second bell will indicate that 1 minute is remaining, and there would be a final bell when that time has elapsed. 5 points will be deducted from each speaker who does not adhere to the allotted time. In the event of technical difficulties, a speaker may be allotted additional time. This is at the discretion of the judges. Speakers may refer to notes but should not read them. 5 points will be deducted from any speaker who reads a prepared speech. Points will be awarded for reasoning and logic, originality, relevance, mechanics, articulation, development of argument, development of points, attitude to opponent, and cohesion. There must be keen attention paid to subject and verb agreement. And finally, the judges' decisions are final. This competition is not without reward. With regard to prizes, I am pleased to inform you that 24 participants out of the total of 48 winners of the first round of this competition will advance to become members of Youth Parliament 2021. Every participant would receive a certificate of participation, a youth debater's pin, and special tokens. Prizes include trophies, plaques, cash, and electronics, and will be awarded to the best debater in each round, all semi-finalists and finalists. I have the confidence that we could look forward to very meaningful and robust debates over the next few weeks. Honorable Mansour Nadir, Speaker of the National Assembly and moderator, will now take us through the debate. Best of luck, everyone.
Ms. Carletta Charles. Ms. Charles is the chairperson of our organizing committee. We are going to shortly bring back the two teams, the Ornock Sport Club and the Anna Regina Youth Group, for their rebuttals. The rebuttals will start with Kezia Albert from the Ornock Sport Club. Today's moot is the objectives of CARICOM continue to be elusive. We have had so far a very hot debate. And if I can read to you some of the comments coming off social media with respect to the debates, Leon Bailey Beaton said, "This is how you start a debate. Hot, 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 hot. Fire, fire, fire." Amar George, all of the participants are so smart and are well researched. This is going to come down to style, clarity of delivery. Congrats all. Our nation's future is so bright. And Aliyah Haywood said, very articulate speakers. We have had good wishes to both sides coming from Akisha Aklima Mohammed, Rukmini Virasamy, Shane Calistro, Melanie John, Priya Bain, Helen Johnny, Diana John, Alex Allen, among many, many others. So we're off to a great start in this first debate of the quarterfinal rounds. The competition will see the final debate on July the 9th, right here. We want to say a special word of gratitude to the Minister and Ministry of Culture, Youth and Sport, who has collaborated with us at short notice to identify the groups. And for hosting this competition, we have had many television stations, including NCN, and a very loud shout to Globespan, based in New York, which has been carrying these debates live. It is now 10:38, and we are now ready to call the first group for the rebuttals, the Ornock Sport Club. And their presentation for the rebuttal will be done by the first and lead speaker, Ms. Kezia Albert. Kezia, are you ready?
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
Let me just give you the cue. It is now 10:39:30, and Kezia, you're on.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Highly esteemed judges, learned members of the proposition, colleagues of the opposition, viewers, listeners, all, a delightful day to you. Today, I, the first speaker of the opposition, stand boldly before you once more in extreme confidence, not to put forward new arguments, but to neutralize the points put forward by the members of the proposition, and to highlight that they cannot prove that CARICOM objectives continue to be elusive, since we are all aware of the factual information presented and can also visualize that CARICOM objectives have persistently been achieved during its existing years. Honorable judges, the first speaker of the proposition made mention that from 1973, CARICOM has had instrumental success with an increase 42%. This therefore proves that the proposition is contradicting themselves and therefore agreeing with us. The second speaker, most educated judges, the second speaker of the proposing team asks a question. How has CARICOM evolved over the years? But according to my third speaker, the Caribbean community has made a significant improvement by 71% in its performance towards its member states. Noble judges, the third speaker of the proposition highlighted that CARICOM should place emphasis on small communities to enhance their economic system. According to yours truly, CSME has achieved 67% of its goals. Eloquent adjudicates, as I am about to conclude my team's argument in opposition of the moot which states, and I quote, CARICOM objectives continue to be elusive, unquote. I applaud you to ponder on the moot and work in accordance with us, the members of the opposition. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Albert. And now for the proposition, Ms. Devishani Naipal from the Anna Regina Youth Group. Devishani, you are now on. Do we have Devishani? Devishani, yes. You can
Yes,
start.
Can you hear me? All
Yes.
right. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable judges, members of the opposition all, I once again stand before you to further convince you that we, the members of the proposition, has left no stone unturned to assure you that we are convinced that CARICOM objectives continue to be elusive. Let me shed some light to the presentation that was posed by the opposing team. Firstly, the first speaker of the opposition mentioned that the single market has been impacting lives of CARICOM nationals, also through free movement of goods, the provision of services, the free movement of capital, and the right of establishment. But as I have stated, based on statistical report presented to CARICOM by the heads of government conference to CARICOM, dated November 2019, showed a minimal increase of 42% within 2015 to 2019 in trade. CARICOM, therefore, and I quote, CARICOM must demonstrate its commitment to removing these barriers to free trade sector. In order to do this, however, certain key structures must be put in place that the private sector development. Given the traditional emphasis on trading goods within the region, governments have paid little attention Second speaker has also said that CSME makes provision for the free movement of labor within the region. This means that individuals search for employment within the member states have a right to be treated without prejudice in other regional states. But as I have argued that in the study conducted by the international organization, million people have relocated intra-regionally under the free movement agreement. Trinidad and Tobago and Guyana sent the most significant number of regional migrants, while they were among the top recipients of CARICOM nationals. Also, esteemed judges, friends of the opposition, I have said that skilled workers often migrate to United States, Canada, or other countries in the Caribbean. Even the semi-skilled workers, such as mason carpenters and heavy-duty operators, are in short supply. So this is enough to prove that the objectives of CARICOM continue to be elusive. The third speaker has mentioned that CARICOM has evolved over the year. But my second speaker have mentioned that it seems as though this extra-regional trade policy was and still is on a relaxing vacation, since Guyana has no proper external market for its sugar to date. What an absolute shame it is indeed. Took CARICOM a prediction of 9 years for these objectives to be in a full swing, and 6 years later, we are still awaiting the execution. To conclude, prestigious judges, members of the opposition, we are convinced the objectives of CARICOM continue to be elusive. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Naipal. And there you have it, the first debate in the quarterfinals round of the Speaker's National Youth Debating Competition. The two teams are Ornock Sport Group, the opposition today, and the Anna Regina Youth Group, the proposition. On the moot, the objectives of CARICOM continue to be elusive, and this moot comes just 1 week before our heads of government meet this weekend for their annual heads of government meeting. It has been so far just over 2 weeks and 1 day of competitions. This is the 9th debate in this competition, the first in the quarterfinals round. Our competition started out of an idea to bring more persons into the debating stream, but more particularly to achieve the objective of spreading among our young people the functions of the democratic institutions of our state, the National Assembly and Parliament being the legislative arm of government. We are also using this competition as a feeder into the Youth Parliament, which is held every August. It started in 2015 and will continue this year, but with a wider population of young people to draw from. And these debates, these 16 youth groups that participated in this inaugural Speaker's National Youth Debating Competition have exposed 48 young persons for us to include in our youth parliament. Our chief judge today is Ms. Nazima Ragubir. Ms. Ragubir is a print and broadcast journalist. She is the first elected woman to head the 76-year-old Guyana Press Association. She serves on many regional boards and the University of Guyana Broadcasting Trust. She's well experienced in the field of journalism and has risen to the top of that profession. Our next judge is Ms. Anisa Mohammed, who is head of our Learning Channel, Ministry of Education. Anisa has been in the private sector media for over 10 years, and before she transitioned to the public sector, she was a CEO of a media company. She's passionate about career development, technology, education, and women's rights. Our third judge is former youth parliamentarian Rion Miller, who was the best debater of Youth Parliament 2018. He holds a Bachelor of Law degree and is a second-year law student at the Hugh Wooding Law School. He is also an accomplished panelist. The two groups today, the group proposing is the Anna Regina Youth Group. The group opposing is the Ornock Sport Club. The moot today was the objectives of CARICOM continue to be elusive. As our chairperson have said, there are attractive prizes on. The finals will be held on July the 9th. exciting debates still are ahead of us. Our judges are now tabulating and shortly will be ready for, and our chief judge, Ms. Nazima Ragubair, said yes, they're ready. So at this point, let me call on, I'll be calling on the judges. First, the two other judges to make some comments, and then the chief judge will make the announcements of the winners. It has been a very vibrant, exciting, informative, well-presented positions from both teams. And to give us their views and the winners for today, we will call on the judges. First, Mr. Rion Miller, and you're going to hear more of young Miller as he is about to complete his training at the Wooding Law School and join the legal profession in our country. Rion, your comments.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Today's presentation was very delightful. I can tell that both teams brought their best and they researched the moot, but there were some errors. For the Anna Regina Youth Group, at certain parts of your presentation, you contradicted yourselves. I think it would have been best to define elusive and to hone in, because that was the gravamen of the entire moot. Elusive, difficult to achieve, difficult to find the objectives of CARICOM. So what you were supposed to do is actually to give the negatives of CARICOM, and at some point, the information you presented were actually positives. I would have hoped to see more mention of the institutions of CARICOM and the way they operate, like especially the CCJ, depending on, showing how heavily Guyana depends on the CCJ, because we use them in the appellate and the original jurisdictions. Goods of community origin are very important to CARICOM, because that forms the basis of CSME. It actually shows that, as long as this good is manufactured by one of the nations, we don't prejudice it. We give them less tariffs, less duties, less taxes. And especially the Council for Trade and Economic Development, which actually monitors whether the CSME is actually being effective. And there wasn't a lot of mention of those institutions of CARICOM. Also, especially for the Oronok Youth Group, you shouldn't really use the CARICOM as an authority as to whether they are actually effective. It's like getting a test and marking your own paper, because according to CARICOM, they're always going to be effective. It would have been better to use an outside source to actually test the effectiveness of CARICOM. But we had good rebuttals from both teams. Some teams went too fast in the presentation, so it was kind of difficult to follow. For other teams, it was obvious that they were reading. And as we've emphasized before, this is a debating competition. The teams really ought to have their points, have their facts, and really run from it from the top of your head. But those are reflected in the scores. Overall, it was a good presentation from both teams, and congratulations to the winner, and I hope to see you at Youth Parliament.
Thank you very much, Mr. Miller, Judge Miller, and Judge Anissa Mohammed. Your comments, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. For the proposition, I believe you should have done much more research, especially with a topic as interesting as this one here. It was very hard to convince me that CARICOM is not serving its purpose. Nevertheless, as a combined group, you did well. For the opposition, I'd like to commend you with the amount of statistics you included in your argument. It kind of strengthened your case. There should have been some more strong points you could have touched on, which would have bring this home. But nevertheless, as a team, collectively, you put together a very strong argument. I commend both teams for their participation today. You all did and contributed well to your team, and I wish you good luck, and I hope you're satisfied with the results of today and you take something from it at the end. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge Mohammed. And before I call on our Chief Judge, Ms. Nazima Raghuveer, some more comments. Daniela Gibbs says, it is a very stiff competition. May the best team win. Adriana, welcome. Well done to both teams. And now, our Chief Judge, and for the winners today, the Chief Judge, Ms. Nazima Raghuveer.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you to my fellow judges, and congratulations to both teams for making it this far in the second round. I really enjoyed today's debate. You know, as the rest of my colleagues have said, it was one I think that we look forward, because there is this regionalism, and you know, to it's broader than anything that is happening. And given all the debate that we've seen, you know, Guyana is no stranger to the CCJ, for instance. So you know, we really do depend on CARICOM for a lot of things. I wanted to see where this was going. For the proposing team, you know, there were a lot of things that you could have elaborated on, that are the so-called negatives of being part of CARICOM. There's been a lack of regionalism on a number of issues like migration and trade, and I think you needed to hone into some points that the rest of the audience could identify with, and sort of bring it home with those points. The opposing team, I think you had your arguments well put together. As Rayon said, you know, I am not going to get into the issues that you raised, but I agree with them, because you know, those are things that you need to focus on, especially at this level of the debate. And you know, one of the things I have to definitely agree with is if you're criticizing the organization, if you're talking about the organization and you are in support of what they do, you want to find those sources, and you want to find the types of material that is external to this particular organization to make your points more believable, and to really shore up those points. So I just wanted to let you know. Still, I must mention to both teams that going forward in this debate, and going forward in whatever you do in this type of setting, please ensure that you pay attention to what the opposing team is saying. You have to listen. Debating is about listening, and you take what you've heard with your knowledge, and that is how you put together your points in a debate and a rebuttal. So you really do have to listen, and ensure that your research is on point, so that when you hear something, you know, it really it helps you in developing how you want this debate to go, and capturing your type of arguments and so on. With that said, I would go on to make the announcement. Based on all the scoring that we've done today, we have the Anna Regina with an average of 420 points, and the Ernock Sport Group with an average of 700 points, making the Ernock Sports Group the winner of this competition. We all agreed that the best speaker in this competition was Kizia Albert from the Ernock Sports Group. So congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Chief Judge, Ms. Nazima Raghuveer. Congratulations to both teams. Congratulations to the Arnock Youth Club and Ms. Kizia Albert for coming out victorious today. Anna Regina, you did an excellent job. My comment to the debaters and to those who will come is, remember that the judges are very experienced and exposed on almost any topic that will be debated. They have had a lot of exposure on and in. And listening to the debate myself on integration, having worked in the region for over 40 years in the OECS and as a CARICOM national too. There are good arguments on all sides. So it's been a very, very enlightening debate for me to see how especially our younger folks think about all these initiatives which have their genesis way, way back. In fact, CARICOM, the search for a political and integrated unit among the English-speaking Caribbean, some say go back 200 years. So it's been, for me, again, very enlightening to see how our young people are viewing the issues on integration and in particular cooperation. Thanks again to you for participating. Anna Regina, we are making this a calendar event, so there are going to be other opportunities for you and your group to participate and do even better the next time. Congratulations to all of you. Thank you very much. Let me thank our judges, Ms. Nazima Raghuber, Ms. Anisa Shah Mohammed, Ms. Anisa Mohammed, and Mr. Rion Miller. Thank you very much for a job again. Very well done. To those who have been assisting us, especially with broadcasting this around the world, thank you very much. Globespan, NCN, and other media houses have been carrying this debate, this competition live and these debates live. Thank you very much. To our organizing team, our sincerest thanks to Ms. Carlotta Charles and her organizing committee. We'll see you this afternoon at 2 p.m. as we venture into the second debate of the quarterfinals of this competition. Have a good rest of the day. Thank you.